Tables are very useful when you want to align sections of text horizontally and vertically. On an old typewriter, this was done using tabs and spaces. The problem is that if you use spaces and tabs to align things in word processing, and then change the font size or style, everything will have to be realigned. A table takes all of the work out of the alignment process. Tables in LibreOffice Writer have many features similar to spreadsheet programs like Microsoft Excel or like the Calc program in LibreOffice. Some beginners make the mistake of trying to use page columns to imitate tables. The problem with this is that they have to keep messing with adding and deleting empty paragraphs to keep things lined up between adjacent columns. Columns are designed for newspaper-style documents to have the text flow from one column to another. The use of columns can improve reading speeds for many people, since the eyes can track faster vertically rather than have to track both horizontally and vertically. However, columns should never be substituted for tables. Let's get started with the process of adding a table in LibreOffice. I've opened a new LibreOffice document, used File Save As to give it a new name, and now I'm going to insert a table. From the menu bar, I can select Table, Insert Table, and this opens the Insert Table dialog box. Here I can name my table, I can add a heading, and I can select how many columns and how many rows to put in my table. In this table, I'm going to have 2 columns and 3 rows, although it's easy to add more columns and rows as you go. The Insert Table dialog box also provides a number of different table styles that you can select from. What we're going to do in this project is we're just going to select the default table style for now, and then go ahead and insert the table. And there it is. I'm going to place the cursor in the first cell, and I'm going to enter a 1, but I do not want to press the Enter key. If I press the Enter key, I will be adding a new paragraph to this cell in the table, and I don't want to do that. It's possible to do that in some cases, but instead I'm going to press the Tab key, and that will move the cursor to the very next cell in the table. I'm going to just go ahead and add a little to the cells in this table. Notice that the cursor is flashing in this cell, in the right side cell in the second row, and when I press the Tab key, the cursor jumps to the first cell in the next row. Notice whenever the cursor is in any of the cells in the table toolbar appears along the bottom of the screen. If I put the cursor outside the table toolbar disappears. Now with the cursor in the top left cell, I'm going to go to the table toolbar, and I'm going to select the Rows Above tool, and that added a new row above the row the cursor was in when I selected the tool. In this example, it looks like I have a lot more room in the first column in the table than I need. Now if I very carefully put the cursor right on that dividing line, I can actually drag this over and adjust the size of each column in the table. To get complete control of the table, I will select Table, Properties, and then in the Properties dialog box, if I select Table, I can choose to name the table, and I'm going to adjust the alignment to be center, and then I'll change the width of the table to be 5, and I'll accept the defaults for the different options here. I'm going to go to the Columns tab, and I'm going to adjust the column width of the first column to 1, and that automatically sizes the second column. It does the arithmetic. Since I set 5 as the width of the table, and I change the column width of the first column to 1, the system automatically calculates the width of the second column. Let's select OK, and there we have the adjusted table. Just for fun, let's open the table properties again. By the way, there's a shortcut to table properties here on the table toolbar, and this time I'm going to go and adjust the background. Now I can adjust the background of the current cell or a row, or in this example I'm going to adjust the background of the entire table, and I'm going to change the color to maybe this pale yellow or pale gold color. Okay, and just that easy, I can have a color background in my entire table. If I want to fool around a little bit, let me put the cursor in the first row somewhere, go to table properties, and this time I'll select row and change the color of the first row to some kind of light green. You should note that there are default paragraph styles for the cells in the paragraphs, and just like any other paragraphs in your document, you can go ahead and create custom paragraph styles for your table. You can manually modify text in a cell or a number of cells. Let's align those titles to center. Let's make them bold, and let's make them a little larger. And just that easy, we can adjust the properties of individual cells or selections of cells in a table. If you're doing a lot of this, you'll probably want to create custom paragraph styles for the different cells in your table. You should review the different options in the table toolbar. Just hover over each tool and see what the tooltip tells you that tool is for. We're going to go way over here, and we're going to insert a caption for this table, and we'll have the position of the caption be above the table. And there are several options we can have for properties. This is a preview. Right now the table option is selected, and the caption will start with this table 1. I'm going to change that to nothing and create a silly name for the table. Say, and notice that I can see here what my caption is going to look like, and then I'll say OK. The caption is here, but I'm going to select that, and I'm going to align it to the center. I'm going to change the text to bold, turn off the italic, make it larger. You have the same capability of modifying a table caption as you do any other paragraph. I'm going to put a few blank paragraphs here in my document just to show another example of creating a table. I'm going to use the Insert Table tool, and I'm going to have 4 columns by 5 rows for now in a new table. Table properties, I'm going to make the width of that, well, first let me align it center, and then let me make the width to be 6. And then I'm going to go and add some things to this table. I've added a little bit of text to this table, and then I've started adding some more text. I have a column here named price, and I put in the number 30, but I would like that to be shown as currency rather than as a regular number. So down here on the table toolbar, I have all these number formats available. Let me just select currency, and then let me justify that or align that to the right. Quantity 6, I'll align that to the right also. And now in total, I actually want to make a calculation. And to do a calculation, I can use a shortcut which is pressing the F2 function key, and then I start a formula here. It says equal, and I'm going to select the price box. Then I'm going to use the time symbol, and then select the quantity box, and then enter. And it's done the calculation for me. I'll change that to currency and right justify it. Let me add a few more things to this table. Now you can see that I've filled in a few cells, but I want to have a total of the total, a grand total here. So I'm going to select this tool, the summation tool, and it suggests that I want to add D2, D3, and D4. It recognizes that these are numbers, so I'll enter that. And then, once again, I'll set this for the currency and right justify it. And you see that it's very easy to create tables that actually do calculations for you. I'm going to have a little bit more fun here. I think that I will go to Properties, Background Color, set the row to green, and then I'll select all of these cells in the middle, Table Properties. This time I'm going to select Cell, and for fun I think I'll select a bitmap from the gallery here, and let's do this one, and once more I'll select this row, and I will adjust the background for the row to be another color, maybe pale yellow. There are other things I can do with the table properties. I can mess with the borders, and I have all these border options. I have outer border only, I have outer border and horizontal lines, I have outer border and all inner lines, and I have outer border without changing inner lines. Let's do that one. And let's change the width just to see what happens. A little bit subtle. Let me go back and do that again. Mess with the borders. Let's make this width be more dramatic this time. And there you see I have a larger outside border and thin inside lines. In the print preview, you can see the table without showing the non-printing characters. Next, I'm going to add a new tool to your toolkit, and that tool is Frames. In order to demonstrate this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to force a page break. And I want to add some paragraphs of text to use for this example. Okay, now I have some paragraphs that I can use to demonstrate frames. To start with, I'll put the cursor in this first paragraph and I'll change the paragraph style to heading 1. There's no particular reason for changing that paragraph style except that it felt good when I thought about it. I'm going to place the cursor in that first paragraph, and then I'm going to select from the menu bar Insert, Frame, Frame. And that opens the frame dialog box. I'm going to make the frame be 3 inches wide. I want to anchor it to the paragraph. Maybe I'll make the frame be 3 inches tall also. I'm going to position it to the right of the paragraphed area. Then I'll use wrap to wrap the text before the frame and say OK. And there's my new frame. You notice the default frame has a paragraph, and that paragraph uses a text by default frame contents. But I can create my own custom paragraph styles for use in a frame, or I can manually change the paragraph style, same as any other text, even though it's in a frame. Let me add a little bit of text to my frame. And once I've entered some paragraphs in my frame, I can use the same techniques that I use on any other paragraphs to adjust the paragraph style, or I can manually adjust the paragraph style, maybe change the font and the font size, and you get the idea. Of course, when you're typing, you always have to watch out for your typos. I see one there. Text and frames can be formatted the same as any other paragraphs. It's possible to insert graphic images in the frames, and frames can also use the area fill options. Well, let me insert a graphic image in this frame. So I'll go Insert Image, and I'll choose a file, Open, and it's a lot bigger than I want. Let me double click on that, just like I would any other time I want to modify the image. Make sure the keep ratio option is toggled on. I think I'll make that 1 inch. And I'll anchor it to the paragraph. And I'm going to position that to the right in the paragraph area. And I'm going to wrap before with a little space, left and right. And I don't think I'll put a border around that image. So I'll say OK. And there it is. And I can drag that around just like I would a graphic in the body of the document as well as in the frame. Make sure that I have that off to the right there. And while I'm at it, I'm going to right click on the border of the frame, and then I'm going to select Properties. And in the Frame Properties dialog box, we have all the standard tabs we can use. In this example, I think I'll use Area, and I think I'll use a Gradient Fill. Let's see how that works. And again, we have all the options for fills, whether it's aerial, linear, radial, etc. Let's see how that works. Okay, now I've filled the area of my frame. I'm going to right click on the border of the frame again, select Properties, and this time I'm going to look at the Borders option. I have borders all the way around. I'm going to increase the size of the border here. And I think I'll have a drop shadow on this frame. Let's see how that looks. So that you can see that frames provide a very powerful tool to enhance your LibreOffice Writer documents.